nice article in the Managing Madrid blog. Wonderful lads that do a great job there. And worth reading about that man there. Karim Benzema needs to rest, and the numbers reveal why.
Times ended up almost looking like a 6-3-1. Some very good writing about that on the Managing Madrid website. First rate podcast as well. Of course, Fede Valverde was a huge part of the equation.
Hello and welcome to the Managing Madrid Podcast. It's January 7th, and we got a big game tomorrow. I know it's just the Spanish Super Cup. You know, we're used to growing up with that being before the season. It's not that consequential, but for obvious reasons, it kind of is consequential now. I mean, it's in the middle of a Real Madrid season from hell in a lot of ways. Xabi Alonso's on the hot seat, and we're playing against Atletico Madrid, a team that is always difficult for us to play against on the schedule, no matter what, no matter how they're playing. And as always, when we play against Atletico, we bring in our friends from Into the Calderon. Jeremy Beren is here. Jeremy, how are you?
I'm good, Kiyan. How you doing?
I'm good. Let's start here, Jeremy. I'd like to know what's different, what has changed since Atletico beat Real Madrid 5-2 earlier this season.
Well, a few things. We haven't hit those heights since. I guess that's the first and most obvious one. The vibes aren't great right now at Atleti. After a lot of spending over the summer and the summer before that, Atleti set fourth in the table in La Liga, level on points with Villarreal, but Villarreal had those games in hand, and there's some unrest. There's some unrest, man. Even though Atleti have been playing at an 86-point pace in the league and are in pretty decent position to qualify in the top 8 of the Champions League, the cup competitions, the domestic cup competitions, are the ones that I think most of the fan base has been eyeing as legitimate, realistic trophy opportunities. And that can still happen. That's still possible. But Atleti there are questions about the team's identity. There are questions about Cholo Simeone's future. We've heard these before, but it feels like the questioning is a bit more pointed now. And there is a debate worth having about whether Simeone's time is really nearing an end. Julian Alvarez has really, really struggled since the derby. I guess that's the second most important point to take away, is he has scored 1 goal in La Liga since the derby on September 27. And we are hoping that changes tomorrow. We need him. We need him bad.
Well, I think this is why all the more reason for me and other Madridistas to be worried, because I was reflecting on the last derby, the 5-2. Before that game, it was similar. I mean, you lost against Espanyol to start the season, drew against Elche, drew against Alaves, lost to Liverpool, drew against Mallorca, and then you came in and waxed us 5-2. And I remember we were talking about, Griezmann is not the player he used to be. He scored against us. I think that was his first goal in God knows how long. And I'm just remembering all that, and I'm like, man, all this stuff about Atletico not being in good form, Julian Alvarez struggling. I'm like, that's exactly what I don't want to hear. On some level, I'm like, I just wish you guys were actually in form and Julian Alvarez was firing, because I just know you guys circled this game. But what else has changed has anything changed in terms of personnel, in terms of squad health? I know I believe Pablo Barrios did not train today. I don't know if he's going to play tomorrow. You would know better than me, but
yeah, Barrios is not expected to play tomorrow, which is an enormous loss. Barrios has been Atletico's best player this year. He has emerged as one of not just the best young midfielders in Europe, but one of the best midfielders in Europe, in my estimation. He does everything. He is so crucial to Atletico's ball progression from midfield. He is responsible defensively, has great technique. Really, in a lot of ways, the baton has been passed from Koke to Pablo Barrios in the terms of orchestrating Atletico de Madrid's play from midfield. So not having Barrios on Thursday is going to be an enormous loss. And I wonder and I'm sure we'll talk about this, how Cholo Simeone is going to fix that. There have been some good and bad things. I guess one bright spot from the past couple of months is the emergence of Marc Public in central defense. Public was a right back at Almeria, where we signed him in July, but he wasn't really playing much until the middle of November, as Simeone worked to turn him into a center back, and he has been undroppable for the last 5 or 6 weeks. He was our player of the month in December. It's trending toward elite young center back territory for a guy who wasn't playing center back at all until October, basically. So that's good. Pubil's emergence has been really good. He's strong, he's physical, he's tall, carries the ball. Great modern center back profile that we haven't had in years. One of the less bright spots has been the left side. The left flank has been really, really poor. Alex Baena has been in and out of the lineup through injury. Thiago Almada, the same. Nico Gonzalez has been the starter on the left-hand side, kind of in that left midfield, left wing role, but hasn't really contributed in attack. Not much goal contribution or goal production from him. He's not going to play Thursday. So it's really an open question as to how Simeone addresses that gap on the left-hand side. It makes Atletico really, really unbalanced. And without Barrios to kind of bail us out on the right, it could be difficult for Atleti to find a lot of attacking avenues on Thursday.
Why you thinking back to the last derby, the 5-2, a lot of Real Madrid's issues came from the wingers being able to get by their wing backs and just put a cross in, and you guys were just towering. I'm thinking back to Lenormand's header against us, and there was just waves of intense pressure coming from Atletico. And I kind of knew going into that one that when it's a derby at the Metropolitano, there is a certain energy that is expected. You know, Atletico are going to come out of the gates on fire. And I think, unfortunately for us in that game, we never were able to put out that fire. Like, it almost continued for the entirety of the 90 minutes. There was a little spell where Real Madrid woke up and kept the ball and had some transition opportunities and took the lead. But for the most part, it was a game where Real Madrid just could not deal with the intensity of Atletico. Dean Howson had his worst game in a Real Madrid shirt. Alvaro Carreras had his worst game. And it was just very chaotic, and that you could tell our inexperience for certain young players in the derby, and just the fact that we couldn't match that intensity. Is that something we would expect? I mean, Atletico maybe are not the same team away from home, and certainly when you look at their results, they are not. I forget what the numbers were, but their away record has been really poor. They're obviously not maximizing their points away from home. What kind of energy should we expect in Saudi Arabia tomorrow on a neutral ground where you don't have the Metropolitano behind you?
Yeah, it's a great question, and one that I too am curious to find the answer. My guess is the energy level will still be there. Like, Atletico get up for these games, man. It's such a, obviously Simeone has been in charge for a long time now, but gone are the days when Real Madrid won this derby every year for 14 years. You know, so I don't have a ton of concerns about the intensity or the energy, even in the Supercopa, which is about as minor a trophy as it gets domestically in Spain. But Atleti really do feed off the Metropolitano. Like, it's become a fortress. Atleti can beat just about anybody at that stadium, maybe with the exception of Barcelona and maybe a couple other teams in Europe. But Atleti's home advantage at the Metropolitano is so strong. And there are frailties and there's a lot of fragility away from home. So having it in a neutral ground as it will be in Jeddah, theoretically, might help, but I don't think there will be a ton to feed off of. Like, the symbiosis between Atleti and the fans is really, it's tough to find something similar in a lot of other European grounds. It's a special connection, and Atletico for years have really, really missed it when they go on the road.
You mentioned the struggles that Alvarez is having. What's your diagnosis of that? Like, is there something you can pinpoint and say that's why he's struggling? Is it simply just mentality, confidence? Because I remember after that derby, you even had Madridistas saying, that's the one that got away. That's the guy we should have signed. What happened there? What's happening?
Yeah, I think there are a few things going on here. One of them is his role has changed. He's no longer the number 9 that it was envisioned he would be when he signed for Atletico. I mean, he scored 29 goals last year, like the best return of any year in his career. And it seemed like this season, the summer transfer market, with the benefit of hindsight, hasn't turned out all that great for Atleti. But it seemed over the summer that there was a genuine kind of a plan to put a bunch of creative players around Alvarez, behind Alvarez, Baena, Almada, what have you, Barrios as well. And they just relentlessly feeding the ball to Alvarez in the penalty area and watching him score goals. I predicted before the season that he could approach 40 in all competitions if things broke right, but things haven't really broken right. I think part of his issues toward the end of last season were related to his fitness. Alvarez played almost 60 games last year. He never misses a game with an injury. He's missed one game with an injury this year. It was at Anfield against Liverpool. And he plays every game, does a ton of running, but the role has changed. He's doing even more running now because Alexander Sørloth is back in the lineup as a starter. He's playing behind Sørloth. He's playing off of Sørloth. And it's just looking like Alvarez when he played at Man City. He is in the top 3 or 4 players in a bunch of chance creation metrics in La Liga. In terms of the passing and the dynamism and the creativity, he's having a great season. But he wasn't necessarily signed to be that player. He was signed to lead the line and challenge for the Pichichi. And Venat Murici has scored more goals than him in La Liga. Not great. So he's dropping deeper and playing as like a hybrid 10 or a hybrid 8/10, dropping behind Sørloth, dropping very, very deep to try to get on the ball and progress the ball. But that's not really where we need him. That's why you signed Alex Baena. That's why you have Thiago Almada. They're supposed to be doing that. Alvarez is supposed to be hunting for chances in and around the penalty area. And it's a big reason why he's scored in only 4 league games this season, which is shocking. And you combine that with some of the injuries to Baena and Almada specifically, just the changing and shifting dynamics in attack with how often Cholo chops and changes the lineup just based on fitness or based on the opponent. And you have a situation and a climate where Alvarez isn't really able to perform his best. But I also think his confidence is low, understandably, because he's just not scoring.
So that's kind of what I wanted to ask you too. Is it a matter that he's getting into goal scoring positions and missing big chances, or is it the opposite, where he's not getting into those positions because maybe someone like Sørloth is in his way, or he's not getting into those zones?
Yeah, it's the opposite, man, which is probably more concerning, is that every striker misses big chances, right? Kylian Mbappe misses big chances. Robert Lewandowski misses big chances. Everyone misses big chances. The problem is Alvarez is getting 1 or 2 shot attempts per game, and they're pretty tame, low expected goals efforts.
Yeah.
And that's an issue. That's not what we signed Alvarez to do. Just because he can do it does not mean he should. So, and with Sørloth on the pitch as well, this is also something I was going to say, is that you're naturally gearing to play more of a counter-attacking style when Sørloth plays, because Sørloth is at his best when he is involved in knocking down long balls and players around him are chasing down those second balls and transitioning, attacking at speed. There's just a natural tactical mismatch there because Atletico for much of the season have wanted to play on the ball. They wanted to press high. They wanted to play a more, frankly, modern style than some other Simeone teams have. And the personnel, in theory, was and is there to do it. But Sørloth just changes everything tactically for Atletico. And the Sørloth-Alvarez pairing just is not very good. They don't seem to have very much chemistry. So it's definitely something that is of concern to me and something I will be keeping a very close eye on for the rest of the year.
I was looking at the expected goals, and Alvarez is actually outperforming his expected goals. And that's kind of the reason why I asked that question. I just wanted to see, it seems to me that maybe he should be more of a focal point on offense. I honestly think Julian Alvarez can hurt us a lot. I also think that Sørloth can hurt us a lot, given our center back issues, given the fact that we can't defend crosses at all or set pieces, and that's gonna hurt us. I'm just so skeptical, Jeremy, of all this. Atletico are poor, Alvarez is poor. I'm not buying it. I'm buying it maybe like as a general thing because it's a real thing, but I'm not buying it when it comes to facing Real Madrid. I just feel like everybody's gonna wake up when it comes to facing Real Madrid, unfortunately for us. Just as a reminder, this is more of the Atletico-focused discussion. We're going to find out about Atletico. If you guys want the Real Madrid side of this preview, we're going to hop on into the Calderon Colchonero chat. Jeremy, where is that going to be? Just so people know.
That's going to be on my YouTube channel, at That Atleti Podcast, where we do a weekly show with my pal Ricky Menendez. He hosts a Spanish language Atleti podcast called Menas de Vivir. So you can find that on my YouTube channel. That'll be up a little later today.
All right, cool. That Atleti Podcast. Make sure to check it out, guys. Also, the post-game show for tomorrow is only going to be for members. So make sure you're a member so you don't miss the post-game show for the derby tomorrow. That's over on patreon.com/Managing Madrid, or just hit join on the memberships tab of this YouTube channel. Jeremy, back 2 or back 3 tomorrow? I'm going to assume that Hanko starts. I'm going to assume that Pubil starts. Does Jimenez sneak in there?
Yeah, I think he's going to start. He didn't play against Real Sociedad at the weekend. Predictably, Atletico missed him. But Jimenez is just such a tough player because he plays 10 games and misses 6 weeks with an injury. And then he comes back. You just have to constantly restart with him. But I think it'll be Hansko at left back, our pal Marcos Llorente at right back, and then Pubil and Jimenez in the center of defense.
You mentioned you were worried about the left side. Ruggeri and Nico, is that accurate? Is that what we're going to see?
Nico's hurt. He's got a hamstring injury, so he won't play. He didn't travel with the team at all.
Okay.
Ruggeri is such a weird player. A bargain bin signing out of Serie A. It's like the club told Simeone, you want a young left back? Here's your young left back. The problem is he doesn't contribute at all in attack, and he has pretty poor defensive instincts in a low block. So Ruggeri has been in and out of the lineup, hasn't played in very many big games. He didn't play in the derby last time. I don't think that's going to change this time.
So who's going left back?
Hansko. I mean, Hansko is naturally a center back, but he has played at left back on a few occasions this season, usually in big games. He played there in September, and he played there against Arsenal, against Barcelona last month. So Hansko can play the role just fine, but it's obviously not ideal.
So that rounds out Alvarez, Sorloth, Simeone on the right. Koke, who's going to take the Barrios role?
My guess right now is it'll be Conor Gallagher.
That makes sense.
I mean, who's not a perfect fit. Barrios and Gallagher really could not be more different as midfielders, but I think in a pinch, a double pivot with Koke and Gallagher, that can do a job.
What is your biggest concern?
Biggest concern is how they're going to replace Barrios, because you can't replace Barrios. I just think the creativity from midfield and the ball progression from midfield is going to be completely stifled. I think those periods, even going back to last season when we played in the Champions League, even that game at the Bernabeu, there were periods where Atletico were able to get on the ball and calm things down at 1-1 and really start to squeeze the life out of Real Madrid a little bit. Obviously, then Brahim scores the winner in that particular match, but without Barrios, there isn't that profile there. Because not only do we not have a replacement for Barrios or competition for Barrios, we never signed a replacement for Rodrigo de Paul. So you're missing one, maybe two profiles in midfield that will help Atleti control the game, which means the team is going to be defending in a deeper block and living more on the counterattack. So that's the big concern, the biggest concern for me. What's going to happen on the left-hand side? I expect Alex Baena is going to start in front of David Hansko. Kiyan, you and I know how good Alex Baena is, one of the best creators in Spain, but he's been inconsistent this year. Injuries have kept him in and out of the lineup.
I was going to say, I know how good he is theoretically. Yeah.
I mean, he was so good at Villarreal, like chance creation numbers through the roof, but we don't have his best role yet. Sometimes he's been playing as Alvarez's partner. Sometimes he's been playing off the left, inverting like he did under Marcelino at Villarreal. So those are the two big concerns I have. How is the left side going to hold up, and how are we going to progress the ball through midfield without going long?
Okay, so let's give you some truth serum now too. What worries you most specifically about Real Madrid, where they could hurt you? And I know, Atletico have done most of the damage against us domestically anyway. Europe is a different story. But what would you look at that team? Is there something that concerns you tactically, matchup wise? It could be something psychological. Where would you be concerned if you're Simeone?
Oh, the psychology is definitely always toward the top of the list in a derby that's being played in a knockout competition. I guess without Mbappe, it'll be really interesting because there's an air of, I guess, a little more unpredictability without Mbappe in the lineup. I mean, just watching Gonzalo Garcia at the weekend, the hot streak that he's now on after that hat trick, I mean, my God, the technique he displayed on those goals. Good Lord. And I wonder how that's going to affect the press, because we know Xabi Alonso has a very clear idea that he's kind of gotten away from at different points this season. And you can speak to that better than I can, obviously. But I wonder how the press gets reactivated with Gonzalo being out there, and just how Atleti's center backs would handle that. Pubil is pretty good with the ball at his feet, but has a bit more work to do there. Jimenez is not all that strong on the ball, doesn't carry the ball very far, likes to go long, prefers to go long. So it will be an interesting test without Mbappe, because we know Real Madrid will probably drop into more of a mid-block if Mbappe were playing. Without him, might be a different story. That's what I'm looking at.
I'm excited to talk to you on your podcast about Gonzalo Garcia and Mbappe and how that looks differently. But on the flip side, you've spoken really negatively about your team so far on this podcast. What would be an optimistic thing for you that you think that Real Madrid should worry about?
Oh, man. I mean, it's like you mentioned earlier, just Alvarez waking up from this slumber that he's in. Like, Simeone spoke at the press conference today and said words aren't necessary with Alvarez. Basically, we know he's in a tough run of form, but we've also seen what the player has given to us and how good he is. Simeone at multiple points this season has called him Atletico's best player. And it is time for him to demonstrate that. Put aside the struggles in La Liga, Alvarez on his day can put 2 or 3 past anybody. He is that good. And I think he'll be motivated. I think he will want to get back into goal scoring form. Sørloth as well. Sørloth has quite a good history against Real Madrid. The 4-goal game when he was with Villarreal, the header in the derby earlier this season. And when Atletico and Real Madrid have played in recent years, the aerial superiority for Atletico has been a big factor in some of these recent results. So if Atleti are going to repeat that and give Sørloth a heavy dose of long balls that they're just going to drop on his head, that would be pretty encouraging. Just play with a lot of energy, intensity. I'm not expecting Atleti to have a whole lot of the ball in this game, but I think Real Madrid can be gotten in transition.
No question. Real Madrid does. Defensively have been really poor, and they've been vulnerable in transition. Their high line has been exposed. Their pressing has been, it's come and gone, we'll put it that way, but it's been permeable. So yeah, it'll be an interesting one. Finally, who's going to be in the final waiting on the other side? Will it be Barca or Athletic, who play in 35 minutes?
Barca. I think it's got to be Barca. I know Lamine Yamal is on the bench, but it'll be Barca. Just Athletic
so is Nico
this year. Yeah.
Athletic. I have no faith in them doing anything this year. All right. So, guys, Managing Madrid Podcast listeners, see you guys in a little bit on Jeremy's channel, that Atleti Podcast. Make sure to tune in to hear the more Real Madrid angle of this preview, and also members. See you guys tomorrow night. Patreon.com/Managing Madrid. Or YouTube memberships tab of this channel for the post-game show tomorrow night. Thanks, Jeremy, for your time. You're the best, man. Appreciate it.
Thanks, Kiyan. Good to talk to you.